And also I've been asked to clarify that when I'm talking about a woman being in her feminine, soft and graceful, I don't mean the good girl archetype that is being wiped out from so many of us that were programmed in that way from from a patriarchal background where, be nice and meek and don't be vocal about your views or what you're comfortable or not comfortable with. Being in our divine feminine, nurturing goddess-like essence, or whichever archetype, maybe it's not deity, maybe it's just your own ancestors that are giving you the strength to embody beautifully balanced divine feminine energy. It's not about being the good girl. We can still vocalize our boundaries and our intentions respectfully and harmoniously without cowering back into the good girl, we need to be seen to be doing this and doing that to be considered a woman, a lady. A lot of us have got a lot of spice and a lot of emotion that is affected by moon time, planets, planetary alignments, collective shifts that we may have only come into the knowledge of later in our life, once we have pulled out of detrimental, toxic environments in which we just absorbed loads of stuff and built up almost a barrier around our true feelings and what we were actually moving through inside our vessel, which means that we really had a distorted perspective and connection to ourselves, because a lot of the things that we were feeling were not even of our own. Again, not a blame thing, just learning about the I, learning about energy. And so when I talk about the divine feminine, for me, I can't speak for other women. Everyone's got their separate mission. But I've known for a long time, and it did get certain people's backs up, is that I'm here to restore the matriarchy. I am part of the restoration of the matriarchy. And this includes everything that has gone on in the past with witch trials and where women were pushed down because of the knowledge and the power they held within. And so without blurring the lines of any sort of archetype of like good girl or the dark goddess, just a full, complete, wholesome embodiment of 303 on the clock of all of the virtues and the darkness that women hold within, in an integrated and healthy way. I was talking back in the day, or more writing when I was first on Instagram, did a lot of my writing, which might come out in a vocal way, in a poetic way at some point. But I found this lady and she was talking about pleasure as a revolution, which I agree with in many, many, many ways. But not to the point where I've seen another quote recently is like, when we don't have purpose, people just turn to pleasure and indulgence. Pleasure doesn't mean indulgence. Pleasure can just mean connection to this beauty and the finer things that what we value, fine and wholesome and nourishing and beautiful, and appealing to the eye and the soul. And everybody will have a different perspective on that. That's why being an artist or a creative can trigger people in ways, because some people are adamant about this opinion on art or beauty or womanhood or the feminine, and then someone else is going to have a very strong opinion. But as I said before, like, we're going through an era where just live and let live. Let people be who they want to be. We don't have to have a judgment. It might trigger us in ways, but the moment you start to say, oh, I don't, it's just more about alignment. We don't need to not like somebody. We can see that, you don't necessarily trust someone, or you want to move away from someone, you don't want to be in someone's company ever again, or, long term or for a long time all at once. But it's less about the judgment and the opinions now. if we're moving into this era of a strong matriarchal foundation for where Gaia is moving to and what we can all harness from this incredible earth energy, if we so believe. Other people have different belief systems and think that I've gone all hippy dippy, and it's just not. There's going to be incredible resonance with the people this year of how the earth and the tree spirits and whoever we connect with talk to us individually for our own healing, and so that we can survive the next decade. So yeah, sometimes in the country I get a lot of downloads, so I don't really know. 5:45 on the clock, don't really know what I just finished saying, but oh yeah, as we move into this new matriarchal sort of foundation, we're in flow. Water is the element. Especially when we look at things that are happening around the world where the imbalance, the fire spirits are talking in ways. And so as elemental beings, it's always important to check in our daily lives how we're connecting to all of the elements. Ether through meditation, air, breath work, fire, a whole host of things. Water, a whole host of things again. And even floral essences. I was making some beautiful frangipani floral essences away, and that water is infused with the magic of that flower. That's water element, connecting to water, connecting with a fresh water source or a spring. If you get your bottle, I've been lucky enough to go to beautiful ancient place recently and had natural water, healing holy water. So that's water and earth, not just grounding with our feet, which is incredible, but also eating of the earth. And I'm not pushing any agenda, plant-based, vegan, whatever. We have to decide and we have to listen to our body. And I think a lot of us will become much more in flow of what's, one, available, seasonal, and how we feel nutritionally internally with the foods that we decide to eat on a daily, weekly basis, around conscious practices like general detoxification and including lime water and gingers to up the metabolism and exercise and just lots of different things. But this is the time where we connect to our personal practices. We don't even need to discuss them with other people, because that just sometimes, maybe less in the future, evokes opinion and advice, and we don't need it. Ultimately, we know what works for us. Try and test things. It could take a year, 2 years, but I think the energy is so accelerated at the minute. If you find things that work for you now, they might be with us for a long time. Especially as empaths, our boundaries. So anyway, 828, have a beautiful day. And being in our divine feminine doesn't mean being a good girl only.